Eala revved up for battle. Manila, Philippines, with an entire nation and millions of other supporters around the globe behind her, Eala threads an uncharted territory as she makes her Australian Open main draw debut today. Already boasting a bevy of firsts for Philippine tennis, Eala tries blazing a new trail as she tangles with Alicia Parks of the United States at 9:10 a.m. Manila time, in the highly anticipated first round of the season's first major, with the biggest prize pool ever at $74.9 million. Eala and Parks slug it out at Court 6 of the Melbourne Park in Victoria. Ready, declared the 20-year-old sensation after the opening ceremony yesterday, highlighted by the flag parade of participating nations. Winner of the AO girls doubles in 2020 with Indonesian pal Priska Madeline Nugroho, Eala ranks higher as the WTA number 49, her new career best after reaching number 50 last year, compared to the 25-year-old Parks at number 100. Parks had a career high at number 40 in 2023. The Aussie Slam fired off with an error-strewn Aryna Sabalenka making a stodgy start to her title charge in a 6-4, 6-1 win over French wildcard Tyansoa Rakitomanga Rajana yesterday. The world number 1, who is chasing a third Melbourne crown in 4 years, faces Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova of Russia or Chinese qualifier Bai Zhuoxuan next. The 27-year-old Belarusian, fresh from winning the season-opening Brisbane International, made a sloppy start in losing the first 3 points of the match when serving. In front of the watching Roger Federer, Sabalenka clawed back to deuce but then misfired again to fall a game down in front of a shocked Rod Laver arena. Sabalenka said she had felt pressure with Federer and Rod Laver watching courtside. Eala revved up for battle. The dawn did not creep into the valley. It arrived like a challenge. Eala stood at the edge of the ridge where the world fell away into smoke and steel. Below her, the plains trembled with movement. Armor glinted. Engines coughed and roared. The enemy had come with noise, with weight, with the belief that loudness alone could bend fate. Eala welcomed that belief. It would make their defeat cleaner. She rolled her shoulders and felt the familiar hum awaken beneath her skin. Power was never silent when it answered her call. The wind tugged at her cloak as if trying to pull her back, but Eala planted her boots into the stone. She closed her eyes for one breath, just one, and let the rhythm build. It started in her chest, a thrum like an engine warming, like a storm gathering its first charge. Her pulse matched it. Faster. Sharper. Alive. When she opened her eyes, the world seemed clearer, etched with purpose. Eala had not always been like this. Once, she had been a watcher, a runner, someone who survived by staying unseen. But battles had a way of carving truth into people. The truth in her was motion. Momentum. When she stopped, fear crept in. When she moved, fear burned away. Below, a horn sounded. Long and arrogant. Eala smiled. She leapt. Gravity reached for her greedily, but she met it halfway. Energy flared along her limbs, blue-white and crackling, and she hit the slope in a controlled slide, boots throwing sparks as she descended. The first enemy line barely had time to shout before she was among them. She struck like a collision. Her blade sang as it came free, a short, heavy thing built for close work. Every swing carried more than muscle. It carried acceleration, the stored fury of motion unleashed in an instant. Shields shattered. Armor buckled. Soldiers fell not just from wounds but from the sheer force of her impact, thrown aside as if the battle itself had rejected them. Eala did not slow. Slowing meant thinking. Thinking meant remembering faces, names, losses. So she surged forward, each step feeding the next, her power climbing as momentum stacked upon momentum. She was a charge made flesh. The battlefield reacted around her. Enemy ranks bent, then broke, flowing away from her path like water around a blade. Arrows flew, but she outran their aim. Blades met her, but they struck too late or too soft. She was already elsewhere, already accelerating. A heavy unit moved to intercept her. Towering armor. Shock pikes crackling with energy meant to ground and stop anything that moved too fast. They had built themselves to counter her. Eala dug in for a fraction of a second, gathering everything she had built so far. The hum inside her roared, threatening to tear free. The ground cracked beneath her boots. Then she exploded forward. The world narrowed into a tunnel of intent. She weaved between the pikes, letting their energy scrape her aura, stealing from it even as she fed it more. She slammed shoulder first into the lead soldier. The impact was thunder. Armor caved. The man flew backward into his comrades, and the formation collapsed in a tangle of limbs and broken discipline. Eala landed among them, blade a blur, motion never stopping. Each strike chained into the next, every kill fueling the surge. She felt invincible, unstoppable, a living engine of war. That was when the ground shook in a different way. Something big moved behind the enemy lines. Something slow, but heavy enough to matter. Eala turned, skidding to a halt at last, and saw it rise above the smoke. A war construct. Old design, brutal and inelegant. Plates of black iron. A core glowing dull red. It carried a weapon that was less a cannon and more a declaration. For the first time that morning, Eala's grin widened with real delight. Now there was a challenge worth revving for. She sprinted. The construct fired. The blast tore a trench through the battlefield, vaporizing everything in its path. Eala veered, ran up a fallen barricade, and launched herself into the air. The shockwave punched her, but she twisted with it, riding the force instead of fighting it. She landed on the construct's arm. Metal screamed under her boots as she ran along its length, every step hammering power into her core. The machine tried to shake her off. Too slow. She drove her blade into a seam and vaulted upward, climbing with relentless speed. The construct swung again, desperate now, but Eala reached the torso and slammed both palms against the iron. She stopped. For a heartbeat, everything went quiet. All the momentum she had gathered, every step, every strike, every heartbeat, compressed into a single point inside her. It hurt. It burned. It begged for release. Eala screamed and let it go. The explosion was pure motion given form. The construct's chest burst outward in a storm of shattered metal and white-blue light. The core imploded, then vanished. The giant staggered, froze, and collapsed into itself, a dead monument crashing into the earth. Eala fell with it, rolling across the ground as the shockwave rippled outward. When she finally came to a stop, she lay on her back, staring at the sky, chest heaving. The battle had gone quiet. She rose slowly, legs shaking now that the surge was fading. Around her, the enemy was in full retreat. Some ran. Some dropped their weapons and knelt. None looked at her without fear. Eala wiped her blade clean and sheathed it. The hum inside her softened, settling into a satisfied purr. She had been revved up for battle, and the battle had answered. As she turned toward the horizon, the sun finally broke free of the clouds, spilling light across the broken field. Eala walked into it, already moving forward, already building momentum for whatever came next. Stopping, after all, had never been her way.